Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Captain Frost and today we're gonna be looking at our, again, pretty cheap budget versions, solo league friendly league starters, and here it's gonna be Frostblade's Trickster that is quite popular in this league. Even though it's not one of the most popular builds, it's still quite a reliable way for you to start your league, to have a bunch of damage, a bunch of defenses, a quite comfy character with a good clear speed and okay damage against single target, with a very friendly budget, with essentially no items that require you to play on trade league and to trade with other people, and it is proven with this character. So this character was was first in levels in SSF. It's week 1 snapshot, so it's not a heavily geared character by any means. It's something that people was able to get in solo league after a week of play. And DPS here is not really a good way for you to measure it. We're gonna look it in pub. So yeah, that's a Slate Frosty character that is level 98 in first week. And as you can see here, it's all pretty basic. So Southbound is not a pricey unique, and yeah, Auxiliary Step are good, but it's not required for build to work, and yeah, I guess he was just lucky to find it on his own. So yeah, let's go for the character in pub and look at it closer. Look at how it works and what's up with its stats. So with the DPS, you can see here it's a DPS that is configured against again Guardian Pinnacle boss. So if it's not a boss, it's gonna be even worse, even better. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be even bigger. What I wanted to say. So yeah, that's your effective DPS, 1.6 million with very budget gear, with level 98. And let's start looking at our talent tree first with some jewels that we have here. Then we're gonna go for skills, then we're gonna go for items as well, and last but not least, we do have 36k effective hit pool with some chaos resisting going on. If you had better chaos res, you're gonna get even more EHP, and that's a very comfortable number for you to be playing with. Yeah, let's go and look at the character. So we're taking all the life nodes that we can possibly get. We're taking elemental and crit strike chance and multiplier nodes as well. Then we're playing with claws, which means that all the claws nodes are quite good for us, or at least most of them, that give us again crit and damage and attack speed. Here we we do have additional instant leech from by having equipped claws and dealing damage with claws. These mana nodes we're not really taking for mana, we're taking them more for mana reservation efficiency mastery here. Then we're taking as many power charges and frenzy charges as possibly that we can get, because we do have a way of generating them as well. We do generate frenzy charges when we hit marked enemies. We're taking claws masteries, we're taking some crit strike and accuracy stuff here, more life, more leech and more instant leech that will help you immensely. You will have just this very chunky good recovery. As you can see here, it's life leech on hit 1700, and we do have some instant stuff. We do have additional flat HP regen from claws if you have a claws of the base that give you something like that. Then we're taking some talents for our marks. Then we're taking mostly these talents for daggers. We're taking for elusive effect, and elusive also grants 40% to critical strike multiplier for skills supported by Nightblade, and we're gonna have skills supported by Nightblade. So that's why we do have this node in here. Then we're taking some additional projectiles with attack speed in here. Non-val strike skills target one additional nearby enemy, which is very good for our frost blades. Then again, additional elemental penetration, elemental nodes, some evasion rating, some chance to suppression, to spell suppression, as we can see here and here. 100% we're taking as many mana reservation efficiency nodes on talent tree as we can get, and these ones, they are very effective for the amount of points that you're investing in them. We're getting more crit, we're getting more frenzy charges, more accuracy that we need for us to have 100% hit chance. Then some cold stuff going on as well. Additional permanent damage increases if they have been frozen, and we're gonna freeze, we're gonna chill. That's essentially it. That's mostly what's at what stats you need to look when you're building this character. With jewels, we just have regular jewels that give us some resistances, crit multi, and here with cluster we're using it's way harder for you to get good jewels on SSF, and that's a solo league character, so don't judge jewels too hard and too harsh, because you don't really have an access to an abundance of them as you do have in trade league. So here we have some additional chance to deal double damage with our crit strikes, some additional crit strike chance, and a socket for just regular crit multi, regular jewel. As you can see here, we have 66% crit chance, which is pretty high, and it's gonna give your crit multi high value. And then with one of other jewels we do have, it's just regular damage, some crit multi, and life. So that's when when it comes to your talent tree, it's simple. There's nothing mind-blowing going on there. Then what's up with our skills? So Commandment of Frost is just an enchantment on your gloves from Labyrinth. It's not essential. With our Frost Blades, we do have multi-strike that is guaranteed. You need to have it. It's an attack speed multiplier. It's very good. Then Trinity, which is essential for your penetration and your damage, as we're dealing damage with all three elements. Then Ice Bite, which will give you a bunch of flat cold, especially for all the frenzy charges that we have. And by the way, what I've missed again is our Ascendancy here. With our Ascendancy, we're taking one step ahead with action speed is at least 108% of base value, which is very good, and you can't be slowed. No, I don't mean that. And you are near your nearby enemy monster's action speed is at most 92%, so you're slowing your enemies around you. Then we have Swift Killer +2 maximum frenzy charges, and that's where we do get some extra flat gold from our Ice Bite. With Polymath, you're just getting more damage for each different type of mastery you're allocating, and Heartstopper is you take less damage from hits and overtime from time to time. So we're taking Ice Bite, and it does have an additional chance to freeze. It does have you additional frenzy charge generation as well. You do deal increased damage with hits against frozen enemies, and you're gonna freeze enemies quite often. We do have Nightblade here, which gives us elusive, it gives us a bunch of crit multi and other good stuff, and ally damage with attacks. Then with our reservation, we do have Wrath and Grace. Grace gives us a bunch of defensive evasion rating. Wrath gives us a bunch of flat lightning damage that we need for our Trinity to work as well. Herald of Ice, it's just gonna shatter enemies. Enemies are gonna explode. You will have this additional cleave, additional good AoE, clear speed, and it gives us some flat cold damage as well. Then with our Defiance Banner, it's our last, it's one of our additional reservation spells. It gives us additional evasion rating increase, and it nearby enemies have reduced critical strike chance, which is very good as well. And this is the same, so this 3 and Defiance Banner are in the same item, but Defiance Banner is not linked with Life Tap, and if you have it, so in real life you don't want to link them all together. You want these 3 linked, and then Defiance Banner being just on the item and being in 4th socket but not linked to them. So with Life Tap, we have Mark on Hit and Assassin's Mark, which gives us a bunch of crit. It procs automatically, and it spends life because we don't have too much unreserved mana, and Mark on Hit has a big reservation multiplier. With Life Tap, it's not gonna cost you too much of your health because you have insane regeneration. It's our curse setup. that is completely automatic. Then we do have Wall, Ancestral, War Chief, Ancestral Protector, and multiple totems, so you will have more melee damage, increased attack speed, and Cooling Strike on them for you to kill bosses. Especially with our southbound gloves, if you can't freeze the enemy, Cooling Strike will do the job, and your enemy will die from your totems. It will die from the Cooling Strike. And the thing with southbound is your hits can only kill frozen enemies. Small enemies are gonna be frozen almost constantly, and they will shatter. They will splash with Herald of Ice. It will work just fine with bigger enemies. You just need to place your totem, and it will call the enemy when it hits certain threshold of HP. Then with Frost Blink and Whirling Blades, Frost Blink and Bone Chill. So Bone Chill, your Frost Blink leaves a cold area, and Bone Chill gives you additional damage. Increases, chill duration increases, and bunch of very beneficial buffs. And Whirling Blades with attacks, with faster attacks, is just your way to traverse the maps. Then we have our Steel Skiing, Frost Bomb, and Precision. Frost Bomb is for you to apply a cold exposure, and as you can see here, because we're using southbound, we can't get our Eldritch influenced rare gloves that would have give you auto exposure on hit on enemies. If you don't want to use southbound, but southbound gives you a bunch of flat cold damage, and it increases freeze duration on enemies, which are very valuable here. You can go for rare gloves with auto cold exposure inflicting, but it's not gonna be too much because we do have penetration instead of stacking as much minus cold res. So yeah, it's just a thing on bosses. If you don't want to use Frost Bomb, then get yourself an auto exposure stuff going on. Then Precision is, as you can see, it reserves some mana as well. But not too much, so be wary of that. Reserve as much mana as you can possibly get, but still leave yourself a bunch of mana for you to feel comfortable with using Frost Blades that still requires some mana for you to have, even though you have all this life leech, mana leech, and flat mana from attacks if you have certain claw base types. But still, yeah, with Precision, as you can see here, it's level 17. If you do have problems with mana, just lower your level of Precision and it's gonna be fine. Steel Skin is your defensive cooldown. We don't have a bunch of armor, that's why we're not using Molten Shell. Then with our items, it's mostly rare stuff here. With our Imperial Claw, with our claw, as you can see here, it grants us flat life per enemy hit. If you want, you can get the one that gives you flat mana per enemy hit, but it's not really required because your Frost Blades wouldn't really cost too much, and you will have enough mana leech, as you can see here, 400. Yeah, it's enough. And Imperial Claw is very good base. So you see here, it's just as much early DPS as you can possibly get on this weapon. Some fire damage is very, very good because you do want to have all three damage types being at least some good chunk of damage applied to be from all three elements, because you want to proc your Trinity. You want to have your Trinity stacks high up, and this way you need your Wrath, or you need maybe some extra flat I don't know. So yeah, if there was no mana here, for example, and there was flat lightning damage, then you can skip your Wrath, you can get some other auras in here. So it's solo league setup, it's scuffed and stuff, but you can see how the build's going and what do you need to get on here. And it's not like too good of a claw either. You can create way better than this, especially in Crucible as well. But yeah, this is what you want. Early damage, different kinds of early damage on it as well, as high attack speed base as possible, and Yeah, that's all. And it doesn't even have additional crit strike. So if it had a way better base crit strike chance, you would have had not 66% crit chance, but maybe 85 or 90 or even like more. So yeah, again, it's a solo league character that shows you that you have this pretty good DPS potential even without all the traded gear, and with traded gear there comes just another level of customization and power. Then with our second weapon, we do have a shield that is, we see here, it's hybrid based, but it's not required for you to have it that way. Socketed gems have increased reservation efficiency, and we do have socketed in it. So we do have socketed Wrath, Herald of Ice, and Grace, and that's why you will have just this additional big amount of free mana with it. So it's, yeah, if you have any other slots, especially like maybe Helmet, where you do have a bunch of mana reservation efficiency, then place your items, your aura skills there. It has some evasion rating, some resistances, and life. So yeah, it's good for its reservation efficiency. Other stats on this shield are just mediocre at best. Then we do have Helmet that has some fizz damage from hits taken as fire damage, reduced mana cost of attacks, which is very handy. Some, again, additional evasion rating, some accuracy, flat accuracy, health, maximum life, and resistances. With body armor, it's heavy evasion rating. Base. It do has some chance to suppress spell damage. Melee hits have 8% chance to fortify, which can ramp your defenses. Gain an endurance charge every 15 seconds. Again, some pretty useful stuff, but you can get different unique items in here that will boost your defenses, but for this budget setup it goes just fine. Southbound gives you a flat cold damage, gives you increased life, some resistances, increased freeze duration, and your hits can only kill frozen enemies are not really relevant for us, because we're gonna freeze enemies and then we're gonna call our big bosses, and it's not a problem. Then with boots, we see here a series step with movement speed, life, a bunch of spell suppression, and evasion rating. You can get here just crazy items if you want to. If in Trade League or even in SSF, the rare boots wouldn't be that much worse. You can have here onslaught generation. You can have here a bunch of different other useful mods. Maybe you can get like Darkrave Vectors if you want. It's pretty cheap item as well. It will give you additional stuff that your frenzy charges will, with a high amount of frenzy charges, you will benefit from them. It can be anything here. You just want spell suppression, evasion rating, life, resistances, movement speed, and anything extra that you can get on top of it. Then with Amulet, we see here it allocates Winter's Embrace. It has some stats on it, some flat accuracy, some increases to evasion rating, life, and resistances. With rings, it's Amethyst and Diamond Ring, so some crit strike chance, some chaos res. With stats, non-channeling skills have -7 to total cost mana cost, which will be very, very handy, and it will make your Frostblades way cheaper to use, and your mana, with even less unreserved mana, you will have an ability to use them without any problems. We do have here a bunch of flat accuracy again, some life, some early damage, some stats, some strength, nothing special, some crit strike, multi, chaos res, additional resistances, no life even, and with your belt, it is a Stygian Vice, but probably base with strength will be pretty good as well, as you need some strength with your stats. We do see here the Stygian Vice have some strength to it, life, resistances, damage with attack speed, with elemental damage with attack speed skills, and some flat damage, reach, Abyss jewel with maximum life as well on it. And with our flasks, it's Divine Flask that gives you immunity to bleeding and corrupted blood. Yeah, pretty obvious sustain here. Then Quartz Flask that gives you phasing and suppression and spell suppression chance. Sulfur that gives you consecrated ground and just increased damage. And additional chance to freeze, which is definitely gonna be good on you. Then Silver Flasks that gives you Onslaught, and if you've had your rare boots with maybe Onslaught generation, you wouldn't need Silver Flask that much. And Diamond Flask that gives you additional critical strike chance. So you can get here Jade Flask maybe for you to have more evasion rating. Maybe some unique flasks as well that will work pretty well. Yeah. That's it. The build is pretty straightforward. It is effective enough. It is very cheap. It is solo league playable. If you're interested in more budget version guides like this, then definitely tell me that you want it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel because more PoE content is gonna be coming. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you're having a good day. Goodbye.